Notice of this meeting was advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now it's on record.
Roll call.
Mrs. Trueblood?
Present.
Mr. Tompkins?
Here.
Ms. Jackson?
Present.
Mr. Allen?
Present. This meeting is now called to order. We're going to deviate from the agenda a little bit. On the agendas that you all are currently looking at, we have up next closed session resolution number 61-2616. However, we're going to move up under new business G, discussion and possible appointment of council member to fill a vacancy of the Pemberton Township Town Council. Council, we need to appoint someone to the current unexpired term. The deadline to appoint somebody would be March 8th. Our township clerk, Amy, received one letter of interest, correct?
Correct.
One, from former councilperson Ken Cartier. If council is okay with that appointment, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to have Ken Cartier fill the vacant seat.
Second the motion to fill the vacancy. Ken Cartier.
And this is to serve out the remainder of Mrs. Stinney's term through December 31, 2016.
Yes. Thank you. Amy, please poll the council.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood? Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
I believe Mr. Tompkins chooses to remain silent on the motion. Mr. Allen?
Yes. This appointment will go to Ken Cartier. Kenneth, would you care to come forward? And Amy will sign.
Stick it in the...
Oh,
Does he want me to do it, or you want Andy to do it?
It's up to the councilman to
Who do you want to swear you in?
either one.
Make a decision.
Amy to do it.
The Bible.
Where?
The Bible.
I think it's in there. It's usually in there, right?
Yeah, it should be right.
It's hard.
Somebody wants to hold the Bible? Or you...
Would you like to hold the Bible?
You guys here? Right here? Wherever you want.
Right here.
Okay. Okay. Hot. Repeat after me. I, your name,
I, Kenneth Cartier,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Pemberton Township Council Member,
Pemberton Township Council Member,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Councilman. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Moving on, closed session resolution number 61-2016. This resolution authorizes council to go into closed session for litigation. David H. Jantis and First Pemberton Township. Are there any other items for closed session?
No.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number 61-2016?
I motion to approve resolution number 61.
I'll second it.
Okay, just for the record, this is actually threatened litigation. It's not actual litigation. But go ahead.
Okay. Amy, please poll the council.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Council will now go into closed session and return at approximately 7 o'clock.
Hold up.
We are back. There is no formal action pursuant to closed session. Public comment period. Okay, Ms. Waters, please keep in mind that this is a public comment period and not a council question and answer.
Jason, is there a section, since this is public comment, is there an area where public can ask questions?
The public can ask questions now.
Okay.
But
I misunderstood what you were saying then.
no, the public can always ask questions.
Okay.
But it does not mean that a council member or administration or clerk would know the answer off the top of their head.
Okay.
So that's where research comes into play.
I'm Norma Waters. I live on Rato Avenue. I am very distressed about this, what I'm seeing on this agenda tonight. I'm also distressed to have learned that despite years of promises that Mrs. Phillips' drainage problems would be addressed, that still has not happened. We're now getting close to spring heavy rains and summer heavy rains. In looking over the budget, it appears to me that we are underfunding the street projects, that we're going to have to borrow at least $1 million and possibly more. The police department, it appears that because our force is terribly diminished, no provision has been made in the budget to hire more officers. It appears that where we were in the high 40s last year, where we were supposed to have 57 officers, we must be down now in about the mid-40s with 3 retirements that just took place. I think it's empty promises that the town is being adequately protected with the force that we have. Now on the agenda that Chief Jantis is threatening litigation. That's further evidence that the issues between administration and the police department have not improved. When I look down here at the consent agenda, I see under the consent agenda support for the township's legal position in regard to the PBA's lawsuit. I think that is a real slap at transparency in government to put such a thing on the consent agenda, where unless somebody questions it or unless one of the council members pulls this, there will be no discussion, no disclosure. I don't know precisely what the township's position is, but the township's position has been that this is an unfounded, that all these actions by the police department are always unfounded. I think that this really needs to be looked into. It has not been disclosed, to my knowledge, what the results of last year's investigation by council into the issues between administration and the police department, what conclusions were drawn. I think this body owes the citizenry and the police department to remain involved in its oversight duties. Administration has repeatedly brought before council changes to the bylaws, which appeared to me to be an effort to further solidify all of the authorities. The one time that I can say that I was really proud of Pemberton Township Council was when Officer Shannon came before council, presented a grievance, and there were 5 votes upholding her grievance. And now I fear that this council will hand that function away. I think that council needs to take a stance that the promises that have been made to the people, the promises and needs of our employees and our police department that are supposed to be under your approval and under your supervision, that those things be protected and that the citizenry be kept informed as to what's going on. We cannot afford all these lawsuits. It's one after another after another. It begs the question of what is wrong with the administration in this township, that our police force is so understaffed. It seems to me that there is foundation for this council to be accused of rubber stamping and avoiding its responsibility for true oversight of the budget and of the operations in this township. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Seeing no other...
You can take that microphone.
Take that microphone right off.
I'll hold the microphone.
If you can, please sign and say your name. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liliana. I am 8 years old, and I live in Presidential Lakes here in Pemberton Township. I would like to speak to you tonight and ask you to think about some changes to the ordinance regarding chickens. Raising backyard chickens will help provide a fresh, healthy food source for my family. Chickens are great composters for unwanted kitchen scraps, reducing waste. Backyard chicken waste is a great fertilizer to use in a garden to grow fresh, healthy fruits and vegetables right in my own backyard. They also help reduce the bugs in the yard. It is a great way to get outdoors and have responsibility while learning about agriculture. Raising my own chickens also serves the animal well because When they are kept on egg-laying farms, they are most often kept in small cages, never seeing daylight or digging in the dirt. I'm asking you to consider some changes with some of the following rule suggestions. Limit the number of hens to a maximum of 6. No roosters allowed. Chickens must be kept in a penned area to ensure that they do not become a nuisance to neighboring properties. All coops and chicken areas must be at least 5 feet away from neighboring property lines. All coops and chicken areas must be well maintained at all times. Any violations will result in fines. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak here tonight, and thank you for your consideration regarding this ordinance. I hope I can be a part of making my community a healthier place to live.
Excellent.
Liliana.
Very good, Liliana.
Liliana,
Liliana.
Like, no, I'm done.
can you come back up here? Do you know how hard it is to do public speaking for anybody? It's probably one of the hardest things in the world to do. And I think you've mastered that pretty well at a young age.
Excellent.
I'm pretty impressed.
Me too. Excellent job.
One more question. Why no roosters?
Why no roosters? Why wouldn't you allow roosters?
They're mean and they're annoying.
Okay.
Wake you up too early.
Good thoughts.
Thanks.
Thank you, Liliana.
Thank you, Liliana.
Can we get a copy of that too, ma'am?
I can give it to Amy Jack, and
Yes,
send it
that's what I want to know.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's a good reader.
Mhm.
Really good.
Ms. Phillips?
Those are big words.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Good
Ordinance
job.
alone is a big word for me.
Did a good job.
Good evening, everybody in general.
Good evening.
Hoping the spring is down the corner.
Yes.
Snow.
I didn't have a chance to read the whole agenda, but what I see in here is something wrong with this picture. What is wrong with this administration? We're not going forward, we're going backwards. I recall when I used to come to the meetings. If I didn't come in here 6:30 or 7 o'clock, I didn't find their seats. I was standing up the whole meeting. Sometimes 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. We have everybody for the township in here sitting. And to me, the way this thing is, the stage in here, it's not professional. Because that's been ignorance. When I attend to the meetings, the speaker is in the corner there. You can see everybody. And here I'm giving my back to the public. It's not fair. And I just hope in the future our council do not continue giving the people 3 to 4 minutes where they go and vote for. How many people do you see now in the audience? You're lucky you get 10 people, 12 people who can come and talk. Give it a chance to the people who come in here and the speaker. The least 10 to 12 minutes. Because you know what? When I come in here, I see the same faces over and over. I hear the promises being out the window. And when the people talk to me in reference to the township, you know what? I'm going to start disagreeing with them. I used to fight and argument with them, but you know what? I'm on the other side now. Because what this township is doing to the community and to the residents is not fair. The worst thing you can be done in this township, it is the police force. If there's a real an emergency in here, what do you people going to do? You're really up the creek. I'm pretty sure you're not going to get out from your bedside, even if you were officers. That means that for the administration and Mr. Mayor to look into. And I just hope the resident doesn't have to pay the price, because I already know how much is in overtime in the police department. Why? Because some fool, when they make a schedule, they thought they were smart. But guess what? They really got the screw. You got to pay plenty money overtime now. Now when we speak in reference to presidential aid, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Administrator, and the lawyer, solicitor, what is going on with the fire of the house in PL right now? I want to know. Don't tell me, do you let me know 2 weeks or a month from now, because you know what? You got plenty time. I want an answer. That way, whatever. I gotta go to a meeting next Tuesday, and I want an answer.
Do we have an update on the Presidential Lakes firehouse? If we don't have one tonight, if you can get that to council or Ms. Phillips at a later date?
Before Tuesday, I want it.
We'll provide an update to council between now and the next meeting.
Thank you.
Can we get it before the
Oh,
end?
no, wait a minute. Excuse me. My meeting, the Civic Association, is Tuesday night, okay? I don't want to hear playing just going around the circle, because this is what we're doing, around the roses.
Mr. Gonzalez, today is Wednesday. Can we get some kind of response to council via email before the end of Friday?
We'll do our best.
Thank you.
I will appreciate that. I'm going to bring something that is a benefit. The whole Pemberton Township, as a mayor, as a solicitor, and as administrator, I think it's part of you to do something about it. Route 530 and 70, 530 east and 7 east, or west, whatever. How many more people is going to get killed there when this township will call the county or the state and put a traffic light and put signs, more signs in there? I most got killed in there because I traveled to Lakewood. Unfortunately, I have a relative in there in the intensive care unit. I've been traveling since December 25th. And during the snowstorm, what do they do when they go and do with the snowstorm? All the plow, make a big pile in there. We came closer in there when the guy coming most hit us. And you know who's going to be the dead person? What's going to be me, unfortunately. Mr. Mayor, can you do something about it? No, or the administrator or the solicitor? This will benefit everybody. It's not only me.
Isn't Route 70 a state road?
Ms. Phillips,
Sorry, that would be
70 is a state road, and I think 537 is a county road.
Yeah,
So-
but still,
I-
as a
we do-
township, we borderline with these people, and that's our duties.
I agree that we should reach out to them, and I'm hoping that the administration will do that eventually. To be honest, I know what you're talking about there, and I really think that that intersection needs more than just a
There is no light, nothing in that time.
I think that that whole intersection needs to be redesigned because it is a hazard. I think there needs to be a light there, but I think the whole intersection needs to be redesigned. The way that intersection is very, very bad. I don't like to use it because it is bad. So I can understand your concerns and everything, but we are very limited on what we can do with that because it is state and county. It's not a township.
Well, I know that. We are a state, we are a county, and we are a township and part of the properties there. We are three parts in there. And that means as administrator, as a township, is to look for the residents into the...
Dave,
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Jason, just a second. And I understand what you're saying, and as an example, I mean, you've heard me say a lot of things over the years as a resident and as a council person now. I noticed something that was a hazard on one of the roads, and it turns out to be a county road. And I stopped in Monday and talked to Mr. Gonzalez and identified it. It was resolved today. The township did call the county, and it was, I happened to be driving by as they were taking care of it today. So I do know if we identify it, we do try to address it to proper authorities, but sometimes things take time. It's like the Route 530.
I know that.
Over on the other end of town, where they're going to be tearing a lot of houses down and expanding the road. That's been a project that's been in the works for 10 or 15 years. And I know you're not going to like that number, but sometimes that's what it is.
Well, I have an example in here. On 4 Mile Road was a vehicle, a car accident several weeks ago, a month or something. I notified JCP because what they did, that vehicle was destroyed. I don't know was any death in there. I do not know. That pole is hanging in there. I notified JCP. When we had a storm very bad, I drive the road every day. God forbid, with a heavy wind, you know where the pole is coming down. And I don't try to just be mean. I just try to just not save money to the community, but save another life. Money doesn't mean anything. A life cannot be replaced. Money with millions. Okay? I just leave it that way, just look into that, because I was told that every single accident has been happening in Pemberton Township, has been registered with the police department in the township. That means they should know what I'm talking about. I even got a poll number and everything for them. I went home and I called them. And they told me that soon they was going to get done, they was going to come and look into, and guess what? It's the same boat like the township is doing. I hope you're doing better than that. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion, Ms. Phillips.
And I will be here Friday.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Seeing no other hands, Mr. Monk. We're assuming you're here for the tow ordinance?
Yeah, I guess the solicitor didn't okay or check all the amendments, so he asked it, I guess, for a couple more weeks to look at them.
You didn't specify a time, but...
Well, right, plus
Okay.
administration was giving comments as well.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, the last meeting, administration indicated they wanted to give comments, proposed comments as well to the ordinance.
That is on the agenda for tonight.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It's for discussion, but what the conversation that Mr. Mull and I had was, so far, Andy, our solicitor, has not had time to review the ordinance. So I was going to discuss it with council to see if it was okay that we give additional time to Andy to review the ordinance in addition to whatever questions we may or may not have.
We can still discuss it tonight, and that might...
We could begin a discussion, that's fine.
It'll give him more to review.
Well, the fact of the matter is the contract is to be turned in tomorrow, no later than 10 o'clock. So if I sign a contract tomorrow, then the ordinance isn't going to get changed, and we're going to go 3 more years with the ordinance the way it is.
Can I just stop you there for a second,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mull? So even if the council introduced an ordinance at the last, well, you came at the last meeting, even if we introduced an ordinance tonight with changes, that wouldn't be effective till at the earliest 20 days after the next meeting after it was advertised. So you'd still be in the same...
Which brings me up to the next part, which the ordinance says that the contract has to be in by December 1st of last year. I asked where the contract is, and I wanted to put the contract, sign the contract, so it would be in when the ordinance said it was to be put in, but the business administrator said it is not ready. You will have plenty of time. Well, tomorrow is the day.
Dennis has a
If I may, Mr. Council President, tomorrow is not a day for signing any contract between the township and any of the towing services. Tomorrow is a day by which responses are due to advertising a new three-year contract. If the council changes the ordinance within changes the ordinance prospectively with regard to the rates, let's say. Ultimately, what the contract will say is that the rates are whatever the township council puts in the ordinance. So I don't think there is an issue. I would expect that all of the towers that are interested would submit their applications. It's an application. It's not a contract. It's not a...
It's actually a response to an RFP, so it is a legal contract.
No, it's not.
Okay, fine.
It's a
The other thing is
response
before-
to a request for a proposal.
The other thing is you can do the RFPs all day long, but the council has to approve them before you enter into the contract, if my understanding is correct.
The council would have to approve the contracts when the mayor brings the contracts to the council.
Correct.
Andy, do you have any additional comments?
Well, what I'm asking is, can we make the amendments on the ordinance before you vote on the contract? Now, the contract vote day is on or about the end of this month.
Mr. Mall, we love to negotiate in public. It's not cool. Like, I just, like coming out in public and trying to negotiate a proposal that's due, that would give you or you a potential advantage over any other proposer. And while you could certainly make a request, it's not appropriate for council to respond since it's going to be a public process to evaluate any proposal, including yours if you submit one tomorrow.
I'm asking the council members.
Well, you are, and I'm saying it's inappropriate to try to negotiate your contract in public.
I'm just asking the council member. I'm really not. Asking the elected officials is what I'm asking.
And as the solicitor, I'm giving them advice that there's a proposal outstanding where you and other entities could submit, and it's not appropriate to negotiate what you think the RFP should be. Do we do that in every other bid that we submit, where we send out bid for whatever else the township buys? Do people come in and say, well, I'm not going to submit a proposal unless you amend it to say this, and that?
Andy, how many RFPs are out there where we're considering changing the ordinance that's referenced in the RFP? How often does that happen?
How often? I don't know.
And that's what's going on right now. So I can kind of understand. It sounds like it's a valid concern as somebody that's responding to an RFP. I can understand the concern.
Okay. And so he could express his opinion, and I'm saying it's not appropriate to request an opinion back from council. It seems to me to be more of a negotiation of, will you do this? He could say, I would like this to be done because I think it's fair, and that would be fine. But I don't think it's fair to request a commitment from council while a proposal is outstanding. And I'll remind you, this is coming from the same gentleman that filed suit against the township as well, regarding his towing contract and loss.
That was before I was on council.
Well,
and it sounds like it was resolved and done, so that shouldn't be any factor in what we're discussing
I'm
right
not
now.
Mr. Tompkins. Okay. Andy, is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. And as Dennis said, if there are any changes to the ordinance, and after you submit the application, if approved, then those changes to the ordinance will be inclusive with your application.
Okay.
Or contract.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Seeing no other hands, this closes the public comment period. Consent agenda.
Thank you.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Council and will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish to discuss a consent agenda item separately, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. Council, are there any items that you would like pulled?
Yes. I'm going to pull under new business, the Pemberton Township School Hall of Fame Scholarship Dinner.
Thank you.
64 too, right?
Jack wanted to pull that, right?
Which letter is that? D.
That's,
D1.
I'm sorry. D1, yes. Social
13D,
development.
yeah.
Are there any others?
Yeah. if I can, I've got a list. Number 9, reports and communications. A, the pothole killer thing. B, the police overtime. Number 10, consent agenda items for agenda resolutions. 63, 2016, temporary appropriations. 64, 2016, the PBA. And on the bill list, bill list by budget code, page 1, the very first item, 5-01-26-290-00-290, and that's on page 1. And then page 5, buildings and grounds, buildings alarm survey or service, 6-01-26-310-000-202.
Thank you. Are there any others?
I wanted to add.
Okay.
I want to add resolutions number 65, a resolution of the Township of Pemberton authorizing the award of a contract for street sweeping to C&L Sweeping Service Corporation in the amount not to exceed $15,390. A motion to add.
Thank you. Hearing nothing else, is there...
Wait, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the item 8, the minutes. I just need to abstain from those.
And Jason?
Hold on, Jack, hold on for 1 second. Ken, you said number 8?
The minutes, yeah, just they need to come off the consent agenda and be voted on separately so I can abstain from those.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
One other thing, under the bill list, anything related to the fire department.
What, can you abstain?
I will be abstaining from those also.
Because he's a volunteer.
How do we do that? Anything? I mean,
We'll
just...
just note it.
It's listed under their department, fire department, so any bills related to the fire department.
Amy could just note that in the vote.
Jack.
Since it was added after I made my comments, I'm going to pull 65, 2016.
Did we have to make, did we have to second the motion to add it? Or is it already...
Well, Norma asked to add it, I think, to the agenda, right?
Consent agenda.
To the consent. So Jack is saying don't consider it in the consent, just consider it in the normal course. Which I think is,
We can just add it at that time.
yeah. So it's not part of the consent.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start with the regular minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second it.
Amy, please poll the council.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. The regular minutes, regular meeting minutes, February 7th, God bless you, February 17th-2016. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I second the motion to approve.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Abstain.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Jack, you requested to pull under reports 9A, the pothole killer.
Yes, and the report was, I think, due to my request at the last meeting, so thank you, I appreciate that. I looked at this, and on the surface, it's a great program, and looking at it, rough math, it looks like it's about $27 a repair, which is phenomenal. But then I kind of look at this, and it looks like it could be also a blueprint for repairing our roads in the future, and I got a feeling some of these roads, like Birmingham Road, the very first one, had 95 repairs on it done last year, and I believe we're in the process of repairing that right now, correct? Or am I wrong? What? I know I saw the construction signs out there. Yeah.
That's for another project that the county is doing down on the bridge.
Okay. But some of these, for lack of what to say or how to say it, some of these it looks like we're putting Band-Aids on the shotgun wounds. You know, Evergreen Boulevard, that's a really heavily traveled road with 91 repairs on it last year.
But isn't that's the purpose of it? We're repairing and preserving the roads until we get the chance to work down the road list.
But what I'm saying, Jason, is it seems if it was 4 or 5 repairs, I could understand it. But 91 repairs?
How many streets do we have in the township?
No, this is on one road, Jason.
But how many streets do we have in the township?
Quite a few.
Exactly. So you can't get to all of the roads at one time.
And you can rest assured that Evergreen Boulevard is not one of our worst roads in the township, and it is more cost effective to repair that road as we address the roads that are in much poorer condition. Actually, Hunter Boulevard's on our list this year, which intersects Evergreen. That's another long, but stands to reason we can't pave all our roads at once, and we have a process in which we pave the roads that are in greater need and are traveled more, and the other roads get repaired to try and prolong that pavement. But we do have what I believe to be a very extensive road program here in the township now.
We borrowed $1 million for our road program last year.
And we paved, I want to say, close to 5 miles last year of road in the township, and that's monumental in a municipality. You go around, matter of fact, went to a little research. I know you got time on your hands, Jack. Go around all the towns in Burlington County and see how many towns are paving 5 miles of road a year, and that's what we're averaging roughly. So
I'd actually like to see it budgeted in our budget instead of borrowing it.
well, you've got the budget, so we'll see how that pans out.
And we will.
Okay.
And that's all I got on the pothole killer.
Is there a motion to approve 9A?
Since I pulled it, I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second for the pothole killer. I just want to also add real quickly.
Do we have to poll? Or
Oh, yeah, go
is
ahead.
it just...
Is it on the pothole killer?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead,
go ahead.
No, I was looking at the work that was submitted by the Public Works, and I just think it's a very thorough document that was given by the Department of Public Works, and I just say kudos to the Department of Public Works for submitting this. It must take a lot of work to put all that together, so
Good
I would say
information.
give, to the Public Works Department for this.
Thank you. Is there, Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. 9B, Jack, overtime, police overtime and other compensation?
Yes. I know I pulled this report before, and I asked the same question, and the more I think about it, the more I'm not happy with the answer. Overtime due to contractual leave. This has been a line item on this report, every report since I've been sitting up here. And it's $65,000 a year. I'm just kind of wondering, officer paid leave, including military and medical. Is this somebody that's been injured on the job and is out for a long duration, or on this report it's a $5,400 or $5,472?
Police function is 24/7, so there are 168 hours in a week. An individual police officer is scheduled to work 40 hours a week. So the point is that an individual officer works 40 hours a week, but then has contractual entitlement to sick leave when they're sick, to bereavement leave when someone passes away, to vacation leave, to personal leave, and that's what is described there. And that is, if our officers didn't get any paid leave, then there wouldn't be any need to call people on overtime. But when people are on leave, on vacation, and you go below a certain minimum staffing requirement, then you have to call somebody in on overtime. That's what that is.
So this is across the entire police force and not just one individual officer?
This is a department report, not an individual officer report.
Okay, it was a simple question, Dennis. You don't have to get offended about it.
I thought it said police in January 2016, that's all.
Jack, do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Resolution number 63-2016. This is a resolution for a temporary appropriation of funds until the 2016 budget gets adopted. Jack?
Yeah, I look at this and it's... We approved Resolution 1-2016 on the 6th of January for the state mandated 26.25%, which equaled $5,457,725.76 to maintain our operations through the budgeting process. And now we have another request for another $5 million. I think it's...
That resolution was for the temporary budget to get us through the first 3 months?
That's correct.
And this budget would allow us to get through April and May?
Well, we're obligated to finish the budget before the end of April.
Okay. I said
So they need it.
Possibly the beginning parts of May. You're right about April.
Okay.
So this brings us to April, through April.
The 24th of April is when it has to be adopted.
Okay.
The state quite often pushes that date back, just so you know. DCA quite often.
May 6th, by the way.
Yeah, they often adjust it.
Okay. But still, another $5 million, that's another 3 months of operation when we really only need about a month and a half at the most.
What, these figures come from the CFO, correct?
The CFO provided approximately 3 months worth of funding, just because he doesn't know when the budget will ultimately be adopted, because DCA has to authorize the council to adopt it anyway. All of this money, as well as the money that was put into the temporary budget, all of this is contained in the budget that has been presented to the council by the mayor. This is not additional expenditure. This is to meet our obligations during a period of time, unless the council wants us to come back with an emergency temporary appropriation every single meeting for a 2-week period, which is a difficult way to do and to conduct business. Ultimately, obligations have to be approved by the council. They're either approved by the council by way of general approvals because of employee contracts, requirements that we have under state law, or the individual contracts that come to the bill list. These things on the bill list, the funding is in the temporary budget, but the money hasn't been paid, hasn't been expended until the council approves the bill list. And it's the same thing with the emergency temporary budget. The word emergency is in there because that's the statutory requirement that the word emergency be there.
Mr. President? Yes. If I may. Dennis, what's the total proposed budget this year? I'm sorry, it was just handed to me and I don't have it committed to memory yet.
I believe it's about $23 million.
Do we anticipate cutting the budget by more than $13 million here, Council?
I don't
Boy,
know
I
when
wish.
that was done.
We all wish, but do we anticipate it? I mean, that would be
No.
getting rid of the police force. Then I don't see what the issue is here. We're only extending the budget to $10 million, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
My issue is the amount. I would like to see the lower amount.
But we're going to approve
Your
the budget.
opinion is your opinion,
Jack,
Ken.
I haven't
Mine's
interrupted
mine.
you all night. Please do not interrupt me when I'm speaking. We anticipate approving a budget close to $19 million. So lowering this isn't going to affect anything, other than having the administration come back to us week after week after week asking for more emergency appropriations.
Which is a cumbersome process.
Right.
I answered my questions.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 63-2016?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
I'll second. Resolution 63, 2016.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
No.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins does not wish the employees to get paid for the next 3 months.
That's not what I said, Mr. Cartier.
You just voted against their budget.
That's not what I said, Mr. Cartier. Please do not put words in my mouth.
I don't need to.
Resolution number 64-2016. Jack, you pulled this as well. Go ahead.
I'm looking at the first or the second whereas. Mayor's position to the PBA has been step 3, grievance process, which pertains to allow the PBA to obtain council's redetermination of the mayor's step 2 decisions violates the Faulkner Act. And I looked up the Faulkner Act, 4069A-67 gives us investigative powers and ad hoc committee authorities. So, I'm not, like, for about the 4th time today, I'm not a lawyer, but I guess that's all open to interpretation. I also know that this council gave away the authority with the police director ordinance recently, where they no longer have the ability to have a hearing for the chief of police if there's something administrative where they're going to discharge the police chief. That was deleted out of that ordinance. So it's one avenue of authority or power that was given away. And if you pass this, I feel that you are doing the same thing and not doing us any favors.
Jack, you are aware that there's a court date set for the Superior Court to give us a ruling?
I'm just reading off of here and I'm telling you what I felt.
But are you aware of that? That the
Yes.
court is going to make that judgment?
Yes. But I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to say yes. I'm going to give it away before the judge makes a ruling on that.
Do you know how soon that date is?
No, I do not.
Okay, it's this month.
That's good.
Okay.
And there's also appeals that could be taken into consideration.
I'm just giving you information, that's all.
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins, if I can ask, do you have a position on this?
Who's talking? I can't.
That
That's
would be me.
Mr. Cartier.
I feel that we should be in the grievance process.
And that's why.
Checks and balance.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you...
Can I
No,
just
yeah,
lay
go
out
ahead.
sort of the concept in the resolution, just so we're clear, is it's not really a question of policy as to whether or not, as Mr. Tompkins is suggesting as to whether or not council should be involved. The question is really a legal question, purely a legal question that's before the court, which is whether or not council has the power to be a part of the grievance process. Because under the Faulkner Act, the mayor clearly is in charge of all employment matters. So a grievance and a discipline and a grievance of a disciplinary matter is an employment matter. So the question is does that fall within the purview of the mayor? And that's the issues before the court. So it's not a question of, hey, I'd like it or hey, I wouldn't like it. Really the only issue before the court is it legal for council to have a review, a power in the disciplinary process? That is really, and the resolution is suggesting that you'll abide by the court decision, or that you're not taking a position, or that you support administration's position in that regard. It's like sort of all that involved. But The point is that you're not giving anything away, that the issue is being litigated, and the PBA is litigating and arguing the position that Mr. Tompkins is advocating in the lawsuit. That council, as a matter of law, has that review power. So your position is being protected through the court system. That is really only, just so we're clear as to what this resolution's about.
Well, no, actually, the resolution says, and not to, but it does say, the council hereby resolves that it has no separate position from the township.
Right.
So it's saying it doesn't have a position.
No, it's separate from the township, and the township's position is that we have no grievance authority.
The township, through the mayor, is arguing in the lawsuit that that council has no power to be involved in the disciplinary process. So the resolution is that, as drafted there, is indicating that the position of council is not distinguished from that of the mayor in this lawsuit.
And this will be forwarded to the courts.
Yeah.
I can answer that. Mr. Council President, the other part of this, what is currently before the Superior Court, is the township's motion for summary judgment based on the legal issue that Mr. Baer has described. It was supposed to be decided a few weeks ago after an oral argument scheduled in the Superior Court. Before the oral argument, the PBA filed a brief in opposition, which is fine, because ultimately the judge decides anyway. But in addition, the PBA filed a motion asking the court to add the council as a separate party to the lawsuit, which would require the council to hire another lawyer to represent the council's interest. That motion would require the council saying, we want to stay in the grievance process, we disagree with the legal position of the township, and we agree with the legal position of the PBA. And it would require the council to hire another attorney, because neither our attorney, our labor attorney, nor Mr. Baer would then be able to represent the council. It's a waste of money, a waste of time. The hearing, the oral argument on both motions will take place on March 18th. The judge will make a decision, hopefully, on March 18th as to what the law is, and we will all abide by it. We just don't want the council to waste money, and we don't want the PBA's very obvious effort to try to drive a wedge between council and the mayor, only to delay the inevitable, which is that the judge is going to make the decision based on the law. And that's what we would like. Will this be given to the judge? We need to respond to and respond to the PBA's motion and oppose it. And yes, this will be provided in opposition to the motion. The opposition to the motion is that the council should not be a separate party and that the judge should just decide. That's what this is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jack, do you have anything else?
I asked my questions and made my comments. I think it's a bad idea.
Could that first where therefore be reworded differently?
It could be
Reworded differently.
It could be reworded as council likes. It's your resolution, so yep. I can see the one.
Can you set the first whereas?
No, you're saying
The first now therefore.
No, that's the one
Yeah,
that's
right
true
here.
about. Yeah, that's the one I spoke to Andy about.
Yep.
Before the meeting. And Andy actually prepared something. So I don't know if this is going to fit what you're going to request.
Sure.
Yeah, the potential other language could be, the council hereby resolves it does not want to participate in the ongoing litigation, and it will abide by the decision of the court.
That works
Is that
for me.
okay?
So the whole thing.
I spoke to Andy about that prior to the meeting.
Not accountable.
So that's why he has a second draft.
It's not the
Has a
right
big
word.
difference.
Yeah, I was concerned about that as well.
I'm
I
okay
would
with
move
that
to
wording.
replace that now therefore with that just read by the solicitor.
Well, again, it really addresses the point Mr. Gonzalez made, which is that the PBA is looking to bring the council in as a separate party to the lawsuit, and you're saying you don't want to participate in the lawsuit, you just want a decision. That's what you're saying.
Do we have to vote on that?
I moved it.
Oh, you did?
As amended, you're saying?
To replace...
You moved to make the amendment,
Replace,
correct?
yes, I moved to make the amendment.
So to take that,
The first now therefore out and put the one in that the
That you
solicitor
just
just read.
Read that again, Andy, please.
the one that's,
Hang on, just read this.
The council hereby resolves it does not want to participate in the ongoing litigation, and it will abide by the decision of the court. And I took sort of what was